You're now watching a clip from the Inspired by show. You can watch the full episode on our YouTube channel or listen on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to head over there, leave us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed it, and follow the show. And I'm curious for you, Paul, because obviously the journey you've been on over the last 2 decades, from having those pills in your hand and wanting to take your own life to then coming out as gay and now doing what you're doing, it's like you really have stepped into this is who I really am.
Yeah.
Do you see there being a connection between you unlocking this new part of your mindset and then having the confidence to tell your family that you were gay and really open up and accept that part of you?
Do you know, there's always been this thing in me of, I just hate lying, that trying to be deceptive and hiding away my sexuality and my fears about that for so long. Because actually it was safer to do that at the time. But you're lying to the people who are meant to love you, even though they might not be saying it, but that's what you believe. And the quest for the truth is always very important for me. So looking back, since I had this big spiritual awakening event that was more recent, I can now see I was always on this path to be fully awake. To be fully awake, even though I never really fully understood what that meant. I understood it logically, and everything's an illusion. We're all connected. We're all one. People have those experiences when they've taken psilocybin, all sorts of. And I kind of got it. And then when it happened, it was like I'd gone from looking at the car to being the driver, and it was a completely different experience. And everything that I'd been through was always about the truth. The truth of anxiety, the truth of our mindsets, the truth of what holds us back. What lies are we telling to ourselves to protect ourselves, and from what? That's the funny thing, isn't it? Most people, when they begin to explore that, they don't really know what it is that they're protecting themselves from, but they're doing it anyway. So I was always on this path. And to come out when I did was because I just didn't want to lie anymore. And again, I paid for that. There was a lot of consequences for that, which were really tough. But everything I went through, I would never change. When they ask this question of, if you could go back in time and change anything in your history or say something to your younger self, I wouldn't take the risk, because everything has happened perfectly, because I absolutely adore where I am right now. And who knows what's happening next? I ain't got a clue. But I'm just going to see what happens and go from there. But I appreciate everything that's happened in the past. But everything was tough. Coming out was tough. Leaving my home city of Bristol, because it was safer to do so. I moved to Brighton, which was the best thing I ever did. Very welcoming community. More spiritually minded, though when I did move there, I did become a full-on atheist. I threw the baby out with the bathwater at one point. Like, none of it's real. But that was another rite of passage. That was another way of me seeking the truth, and then realizing that atheism wasn't going to be the answer with honesty either. And I just thought, do you know what? I'm just going to be aware there's something much bigger than myself out there, and then connect with that and I'm part of that. And that's it. And that's led me to where I am today, being fully awake and coaching people with the ultimate mindset, having a podcast, being here with you.
Yeah.
So it's been an amazing ride so far.
Yeah. It's really interesting that you say, though, that you wouldn't change anything. And, people, a great podcast question that people often ask is, what would you say to your younger self? But I think it's really powerful what you've shared there, because to me, if someone was to say, I would change it, or I would say this, it's actually come from a place of ego, to control, to say, well, actually, I could fix it. I could have done it better. How do we know that couldn't have gone so much worse, and actually not be where I am now?
Exactly. It's a dangerous game. It is a victim mindset again, predicting the worst, that I'm not going to change. My future's going to be just as terrible. Like I was sat there in the bathroom at 20. That's what I was fully involved in. That was fully me, the victim mindset back then. And that's not his fault. That's what I was going through. But to recognize that from this very moment, and I love pointing this out to clients, that we have infinite timelines stretching away from us. And if you just imagine on some of those infinite timelines, your ideal life unfolding, and that will happen from each decision you make. Every decision you make can take you further down that timeline. So what is it you want? What is it you're going to do today? What little steps are you going to take? And that gets people quite excited that it's possible, it's a potential. And, your mindset is very important with that. Looking after your nervous system coming into your body, being healthy is very important for that. How we connect with others is very important for that. Are you living your purpose? That's very important for that. But we live in quite a reactive society, which is distracting the hell out of us, and so people are not really getting to know themselves or what they truly want. They're too busy being hypnotized and brainwashed and conditioned into sleepwalking through life, and they're suffering for it. That's why I would always try my best with my content to get people to wake up a little and get a glimpse of their true potential. Not what I think it should be, not what anyone else should think it should be, but what they realize is their truth and what it should be.
Yeah. And I think that's why what you're doing is so fascinating, Paul. And it's so great to see all the incredible things that you're up to. And